here. What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname back at it again with another New York Giants video. Once again, if you notice a little thing in the sound quality, my mic is almost fixed, not exactly fixed right now, so I'm kind of on my gaming headset using the mic on that headset. Let me know how it sounds. I think it's a lot better than the phone, but definitely not on the level as my Snowball microphone. Now then, before I even get into the video, y'all, can I just take a few seconds of your time to express to y'all how weird it is doing online learning from home, man? Like today I had a bunch of classes, right? Because the schedules got rearranged, the teachers have to work with their students to see what exactly works, you know, all that stuff is going kind of haywire right now, and like it ended up being Tuesdays and Fridays. I have 4 out of my 5 classes on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then, you know, on Thursdays I have like 1 class early in the morning, so I'm really free most of the week, but Tuesdays and Fridays I'm just absolutely swamped. So we'll see how that goes. I don't really expect it to affect my video output too much, you know, until exam season comes, even if that even happens, but it's still very weird. Now let's get into the topic of this video. If any of you guys are experiencing what I'm experiencing with online learning, man, let me know in the comments. But let me get into the topic of the video. So I really want to talk about the fact that Giants fans, and you know, even just some non-Giants fans, their reaction and their reception towards the free agency period that we've been having this year. Now then, in my opinion, and it is just my opinion, this entire video is going to be kind of very opinionated. I guess disclaimer there. My opinion is that the Giants have had a very successful, or at least, you know, successful, if not very successful, offseason thus far. A very successful free agency period thus far. I like the moves they've made. I like the players they've signed. I like the positions they attacked. I like the fact that they went after the defense, which was the worst part of our team last year. And I like the fact that these contracts are not only cost effective, but structured in such a way that it allows us to sign the main players of our team to extensions in the following years, whether it be next year, the year after, and whatever. And it also allows us to, if need be, cut our losses, you know, cut these players that we signed, you know, just a few days ago, if let's say they don't work out for the Giants, whatever the case is, because these contracts are front loaded and most of the guarantees are within the first 2 years. So then after you cut after the second year, there's not really much of a cap hit towards, you know, the cap space. And also, a lot of you might not think they're cost effective, but put it in context, right? For example, a James Bradberry, $15 million a year, and I said this in my James Bradberry video. Yeah, man, when you just look at it straight up like that, it's expensive. But add some details now. He was the second best cornerback out on the market, the best cornerback, signed for a much more expensive, I think it was like $17 or $18 million deal that was 4 or 5 years long, compared to a $15 million deal that is 3 years long, but it's technically a 2-year contract because you could cut them after 2 years and then it'd really be minimal cap hit. The James Bradberry signing was very cost effective, very cheap compared to that of the Byron Jones signing. To further add more context, the amount of money that the cap space will be next year and the years onwards once the CBA takes effect is going to be a lot more than it is right now. Right now it's around 198 million, so we're rounded up to 200 million. James Bradberry has 15 of those $200 million. That's around 7.5% of the cap. Next year, when it goes up to what is now around 230 million is being projected, that's around 6.5% of the cap, which is a significant drop off when we're talking, you know, millions of dollars here. So that's another way that's cost effective. The same can be said for a Blake Martinez, who, you know, the signing itself has been getting quite a bit of backlash. I don't want to say hate, because even myself, I criticize Blake Martinez, and I believe there is criticism to be had towards the player. You know, there's definitely backlash there. He was on a very cost-effective contract also, $10 million a year for 3 years. That's almost what Marcus Golden is going to come back and sign. And if we're really, you know, we're really talking the truth here, at their positions, Blake Martinez is a better player than Marcus Golden is when, you know, you're talking about where they rank in their positions and whatnot. But Blake Martinez as a player, obviously the main gripe people had with it, including myself for a very short period of time, and I'm going to throw up a post I made on Twitter like the day after the Blake Martinez signing was made. the main thing is that people believe we should have gotten a Corey Littleton, we should have gotten Joe Schobert, a Schobert, I keep mispronouncing his name, or even tried to get a Calvin Noah to come on the team, because these guys are, quite frankly, they are better than Blake Martinez. He was the 4th best middle linebacker out on the market, and it's because they can actually cover. They don't just play to run, and they don't just only know how to tackle, right? So that's a valid reason why you could criticize the Blake Martinez signing. Now, you could criticize it, like I said, but you can't just hate on it, because people are like straight on dogging Dave Gettleman, they're dogging the signing, and they're acting as though they know for sure Gettleman and the Giants did not offer these guys the same contracts that they got from other teams. And it seems that they forget it takes 2 parties to make a contract, to make a contract signing. It's not just the Giants are going out there and let's say they throw all the money at a player. The player could still not come if he just doesn't want to come here. And it could be some type of personal reason that he doesn't want to play for the Giants, or it could be more of like a regional and more general thing that he wants to stay out on the West Coast. Like I'm talking specifically about Corey Littleton right now. There's a lot of reports saying that he just wanted to stay out West Coast, and he's played on the West Coast his entire life. He didn't really want to move east where the weather is different, the culture is different, the cities are different. That's very much a possibility of what happened, because I find it hard to believe that the Giants and Dave Gettleman did not offer these guys similar or better contracts to what they signed on for. For example, Corey Littleton, $12 million over, I can't remember how many years, but let's just focus on the $12 million compared to a Blake Martinez, $10 million. That's just $2 million more. I'm all on board for signing Corey Littleton because he's a better player than Blake Martinez. He is who I wanted, him and Calvin Noe. Now then, do you guys really think, sit down and try to be objective for this scenario, do you really think that Dave Gettleman did not offer Corey Littleton $12 million? And if you tell yourself of being objective and you still say that Gettleman didn't do it, there's no other word for it. You're biased against Gettleman. And there are Giants fans like that. And I'm not here to tell you guys how to be a fan, because there's many ways to be a fan. There's no such thing as the fan police. But I am saying that if you think Gettleman didn't do that, and if you're like blaming these signings on Gettleman error, or if you even remotely think these signings were bad in some way, you're just biased against him and you're gonna hate whatever he does. And that's definitely a portion of the Giants fans. It might not be big, it might not be small, whatever portion it is, it exists. But the Blake Martinez signing, we don't know if Corey Littleton wanted to come here. We don't know if he has something against the Giants. We don't know if he wanted to play specifically for the Raiders or if he just wanted to go out west. And very much so, yes, the same could be said. We don't know if Gettleman didn't offer him $12 million, but I find it hard to believe he didn't, because it's just $2 million more, and because the way he tackled this offseason and the positions he tackled, he went for the best players available. That showed via James Bradbury, and also the fact that the coaching staff, their imprints are all over the signings that we made, whether it's Blake Martinez, whether it's Kyler Fackrell, whether it's the backup Colt McCoy. Their fingerprints are all over this, and that means that Gettleman is listening to them. So you're telling me that the smart coaching staff that we have, the much improved coaching staff that we have, you're telling me that for some reason on the Blake Martinez signing, we're going to say Gettleman didn't listen to them, or that they didn't tell him to go get a Corey Littleton? Like, you got to really think about it that way. So for that reason, the Blake Martinez signing is a good signing. He was the best available. He's on a cost-effective contract. He's on a well-structured contract, and he's the best middle linebacker we've had in years, probably a decade. Giants fans don't want to accept it. And for those of you that love Antonio Pierce, that absolutely think that Antonio Pierce is the last great middle linebacker the Giants had, guess what? Blake Martinez is the same structure as Antonio Pierce. He's a great tackler, great run defender, not so good in pass coverage. Pierce was the same way. Stellar tackler, stellar run defender, good in everything but the pass coverage. That's Blake Martinez. And then you take another look at it. Let's pretend as though the D-line will continue its performance that it had last year. That is, they were really good in stopping the run, right? That takes some load off of Martinez, who, while he was on Green Bay, did most of the workload for stopping the run. What does that give him? More space to try and attack the pass. And also, more of a chance to learn how to be better in pass coverage from our defensive coaching staff, from Joe Judge. And he is young, he's only 26. Another thing I like to mention are big signings. They're in their prime or entering their prime, so they're very young. We got younger. These guys could still learn. They're not like 30-year-olds that are like, well within how they play. They're well within their own habits and whatnot of how they play. No, these guys could still learn. And Blake Martinez has room to learn. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could. He could very well come out, train so hard in the offseason, learn new techniques, learn new strategies, become a better pass defender, both because he actually learned and he's putting it into practice, and also because he has to worry about the run less because of the stellar D-line we have, at least when it comes to run defense. So, and I know I spent most of this video talking about Blake Martinez is actually what motivated me to do the vid, but I just want to say, guys, you got to look at free agency from an objective standpoint, right? And when you look at it from an objective standpoint, the Giants tackled their defense, which was the weakest part of their team. They tackled certain positions in which we haven't had players to make an impact in a while, that being cornerback, that being inside linebacker, that being outside linebacker, even though Kyler Fackrell is, very much a low-risk, high-reward type of signing. They did all of this now with young players, with contracts that benefits the Giants more so than it hurts them, and it was good moves. It really was good moves. They signed a little bit of depth on the offensive line. I would have liked, yes, there's things I have gripes with. I would have liked for the Giants to sign, Connor McGovern or to sign Jack Conklin, but it didn't happen. Who knows why? They still got depth on the offensive line, and it looks as of right now they're going to attack offensive line with their first pick, which I have no problem with. It's something I want them to do either way because I believe it's the most important part of the team to fix right now. Nevertheless, the point I'm trying to make and get across here is to try and be unbiased, try to be objective, try to be realistic. Some of you might think I'm being overly positive. I personally don't. If I was being overly positive, I would be saying the Giants defense is fixed, it's done, we're definitely getting an offensive lineman, and then the offense is fixed, and then we're set after free agency and the draft. Giants going into the season, we're going to have a winning record, probably make the playoffs. That's what I'd say if I was being overly positive, a little too optimistic. But I'm being realistic, and what I think it is the defense is much improved. We've addressed positions that needed to be addressed for years. We still have a way to go before we become a stable, consistent, well-performing, top-of-the-notch defense. We have a way to go. We still have to build all the depth in the linebacking core to make sure, everybody that we have there is the correct personnel and all that. We still got to figure out how everybody fits into the scheme. We still got to find a pass rusher. We still have to find a free safety, all of that. We don't know if that's going to be addressed this year or next year. Realistically speaking, I think this rebuild that we're only in the second year of probably has a year or two more, maybe another 2 off seasons before the team is set for a playoff run to get everything up and running. Make sure we got all the players that fit the schemes, all of our starters solidified, both offense and defense are performing consistently, all of that. We have probably a year or two more because it's not going to take one off season, one draft. It's not going to take 1 year for this team to get where it needs to be to win the Super Bowl. That's just not how it's going to happen. Get that out of your head. But this is a very good step in the right direction. Certainly a better offseason than last year. Last year we went small a little bit, but that was because of the cap space we had, because of the dead contracts that we had on our books. And just by default, this year is better because we actually got to spend a little bit more, and they spend it in a smart way. Now, let me know what you think, guys, down below. This was kind of more of a rant-ish video, very opinionated, like I said. What do you guys think about the offseason? Do you agree with me? Put it down. Do you disagree with me? Put it down. I'm down for, a nice, discussion. By the book argument. Definition of argument is a discussion, actually. So I'm up for that. If you guys want to put it down below, just leave your thoughts and let's see what's up. If you guys want me to grade, actually put like a letter grade on these, these signings and the re-signings and whatnot, put that down below also. I've been thinking about it. Not sure if I'm going to do it. But I'm out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Put your comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Until next time, I'm out.